Oregon Black Pioneers is an all-volunteer organization dedicated to researching, preserving, and sharing the largely unknown history of the state's early Black residents.
We had folks who came over via the Oregon Trail, usually with white families, and a lot of them settled in the Willamette Valley. Most people don't know that Black history in Oregon goes back that far.
Right now we're standing in Salem's Pioneer Cemetery, and we're next to the monument that Oregon Black Pioneers placed here in 2007 in order to honor the African Americans and the Black people that are buried here. And a number of them are buried here that do not have headstones of any kind. It was our way of giving recognition to their having been here.
Here we have the Bayliss monument. Of course, this is new, really, to commemorate that they're buried here. This was not the original stone. He died on April 18th. She died on April 24th, days apart. He had been a blacksmith here, very well known, and he would buy little peppermint candy. And when the kids would come, he would hand them out candy. They were emancipated slaves, went to the Methodist church here, right downtown that everybody knows about. And so it's another one of those stories of someone who was a part of the community here in Salem. There's some other Blacks that are buried right in the same area, like there's a couple over there. And actually, these are two. This is one right here. And here's a couple of gravestones that kind of highlight some of the relationships that were going on in Salem. You had families that were adopting. Either their parents had died or had moved on. Sometimes whole families lived together here, so it's not like we think of, you know, the Jones family here, the Smith family here. There was a lot of this intermingling of families to survive, frankly, because none of these folks had a lot of money, and so you had to do what you had to do. Another kind of little known fact, there was a Black school started here, and William Johnson was one of the founders of that school. It was actually among, I believe, 3 or 4 segregated schools in Oregon. There was one in Salem, there was one in Vernonia, there was one in Portland, and there was one in Maxville up in northeast Oregon. So here we are at Obed and Charlotte's plot. This was the pastor who welcomed Blacks into his church, got into a lot of trouble, not only with some of the townsfolk here, but when he officiated at the wedding of America Waldo and Richard Bogle, it made the newspapers in San Francisco. And then Charlotte, the wife, even taught Black women to read. She had been a teacher, and so it came natural, and it was the right thing to do, so they did it. They paid for it. Eventually he left the ministry and opened a seed store, or feed store right here in Salem. Now his nemesis, because he was so outspoken about slavery and the other vices going on in Salem at the time, that he got in trouble with the owner of the Statesman Journal, who, by the way, is buried right over there. So I just think it's interesting that you've got the monument to the Black pioneers right here. Short distance away, here is Obed Dickinson and his wife. A short distance away again is Asa Hill Bush and his family. So we kind of all end up at the same place, no matter what we think or think we think.